Are emotions secretly controlling your trades? Whether it's FOMO, panic, or chasing losses, emotions can be the silent killer of your trading performance. So before you place your next trade, trust me, you would want to watch this. Hi, I'm Francois, your market analyst here at ATFX Africa. And today, on this Friday, we have a very special market brief segment centered around trading psychology and your mindset when you approach the markets. Today, I am joined by Caleb, who is a sales manager here at ATFX. So he spends every single day talking to traders and helping them navigate not just the markets, but also their emotions. Caleb, thank you so much for joining me today. Would you please give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself and what you do every single day?
Hi, Francois. Firstly, I just want to thank you for having me on this podcast. And more importantly, I just want to thank everybody that's going to watch this video and giving me the opportunity to engage with some of my insights. So being a sales manager at ATFX, I do look after said sales associates that assist clients through their journey, whether that be discussing various options, whether it be, sharing your analysis videos, to providing education and routes to that, to assisting with demo accounts and explaining center accounts or promotions. Really, we're just trying to give the ultimate customer experience. And through my journey in the financial services industry, that's led me to a point where I've had a lot of feedback and insights with regards to the psyche behind a lot of the clients that we deal with. And more importantly, it's coveted with having worked in leadership and life skills development at schools in Johannesburg a couple of years ago, really trying to equip young minds from the ages of 9 to 18 with the tools to maximize their potential. I just think that the balance between the two really is that what I do on a daily basis is that I'm trying to understand why it is that you're wanting to trade. What's the purpose behind that? And how can we help that? How can trading be a conduit to your goals?
Absolutely beautiful. Caleb, from your daily conversations with clients, what are the most common emotional triggers that lead traders to poor trading decisions?
So I think at the moment, volatility is amazing in terms of being able to offer a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, there's lots of risk involved, and risk management is key. I think at the moment, FOMO and fear of missing out, if we look at a lot of the things that are happening between the US and other countries around the world, it's creating a lot of uncertainty. I am finding a lot of traders are not able to predict Donald Trump. It seems like we're in a bit of a space where everything leans one way and the polar opposite is happening. But at the same time, I also just think that the understanding and risk management and really delving deeper in terms of understanding, what it is to be a trader and proper risk management, etc. I do think that the educational side of things is one parameter that is sorely lacking. Coveted with the fact that socio-economic issues in South Africa force people into a position where they're desperate to make money. The attachment to money and the concept and the fear of losing money is quite a huge barrier in South Africa, because for a lot of people, 500 rand's a lot, and the minute the trade's going into a negative, there's, it's panic, etc. And so there's a culmination of things that are happening at the moment that are leading to certain psyches. The biggest one I'm noticing as well is a schema high-level overview is basically unconscious biases that we have. And we are brought up through parents, teachers, peers, media, and our environment shapes the way we think. And I'm seeing a lot of, so if you internally or subconsciously don't like Donald Trump, that's impacting your decision on the markets. And being able to remove yourself from those biases that we have, that we aren't even aware of, but impact our decisions, is definitely something that's starting to rear its head in 2025.
Super tight spreads. Yeah, tighter than your jeans after Christmas lunch. What if you could get this value today? Turns out you can. Join ATFX now and let's get you started.
That is super interesting that you mentioned that. And, speaking on specifically volatility, have you noticed any emotional shifts in client behavior specifically when markets became more volatile? Like, we've seen recently with the yen, gold, and Nasdaq, for instance.
Definitely. So, I mean, I think there is a lot of, thought process behind some of the things. So, gold is at the moment is, if we looked at our results, there was a 23% increase in activity on gold. Having said that, though, so a lot of people are moving away from currencies, going into gold. At the same time, USD and the Swiss franc, is almost like a currency safe haven, etc. But I think at the same time, the emotional aspect is now, I think the undercurrent of what's happening is almost feeling, I would almost say feeling bold that it's just, gold's going to continuously go to the moon. And what's starting to happen is that, you get one trade right at a 0.01 or 0.001, and all of a sudden you go full lot because you just see that gold has been trending. And there are moments where there's corrections, etc., and timing is key. So I definitely think the rallies that have happened in the market is causing emotional bias in terms of how they're trading things, plus analysis on a daily basis, as well as communities talking about things and articles, etc. And it's irrespective of what you read and the analysis, etc. Ultimately, timing is the most important thing in a trade. I know we've discussed it at length that on average, clients get the direction of a trade 70% right, but they still lose money. And it's purely just around those risk parameters. But I just feel like at the moment, we're emboldened by the fact that we can just go long on gold and not worry about stop losses and take profits, etc. And I think that's starting to creep in a little bit at the moment, because it almost feels a little bit too easy on gold at the moment in terms of the ultimate long position since January, if I had to put it that way.
Absolutely true. And I couldn't agree with you more on that. But, you spoke about clients not trading with stop losses, and that normally leads to quite a lengthy amount of losses most of the time. So, in your experience, what separates the traders who recover from a string of losses from those that, just spiral further and start revenge trading and just completely lose it?
So I think the elephant in the room here to start off with is learning to dissociate money. We could probably look at it, high net worth, they're in a position, etc., where they've lost the detachment of money and they see money as an object and a conduit. A lot of people in South Africa are struggling. So if you're funding all you have, that's leading to, a lot of stress in the markets, etc. I do find that the successful traders, stick to a strategy. And I actually had a trader say to me once that he's a very successful trader. And he said, Caleb, you don't understand how boring my day is. And I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Making money should excite you. And he said, no, I do the same thing over and over and over again with a tried and tested strategy, and my days are boring. And he said, the fact that it's boring, I'm grateful for the fact that I've got something that works. And I think that navigating, so I would actually say that the revenge trading, etc., the underpinning sort of environment there is the fact that I think knowledge is key. I think that understanding reversals, understanding why the trade wasn't correct, etc., and being able to analyze set positions puts people in a position of power in terms of being able to then make the best decision. Now, what I love about this conversation is that I believe in a cross-pollination of principles. What I mean by that is that, when we were kids and we went to school, we went A, B, C, D, E, J, F. It's like, hey, that doesn't sound right. And so we learned through repetition. And we did that our entire life. And every time we got something wrong, we found a way to, solve it and then learn from our experiences. And I think that element in trading is sorely missing. And we do it in vast areas of our life. And I just want to finish with this stat the other day. So Roger Federer in his career won 80% of his games, but he only won 54% of the points. And he's arguably the greatest of all time. So if you look at those type of stats, and we've discussed it, that those type of stats can still lead to successful trading accounts. It's not about 100% win rates. It's not about getting 17 in a row right. It doesn't work that way. It's about being able to mitigate against the losses, but ultimately having a strategy that can put you out at the end in a positive position. And if it's 100 Rand, it's 100 Rand.
Absolutely. And I think that really ties into discipline, if you'll agree on that statement. As a question then leading on to that, everyone has achieved that level where they are able to, you spoke about the trader who basically stated that he does the same thing every single day, which means he's consistently checking in on his trading strategy 100% with no deviation on a daily basis. And that requires a lot of discipline. So, referring back to you and your team, how do you coach traders to stick to their trading strategy, specifically when emotions start running high?
That's an absolutely great question. Thank you for asking. So, firstly, I think the first thing you need to actually establish is the level of the trader and their intuition, their knowledge, their gut feeling. I mean, the other day, Francois was showing me wedges and flags and all these things, and he opens up the chart and he's like, oh, that's a flag pattern. And that consistency in the markets, that you can open up a chart and immediately see where the Fibonacci levels are. You can see where your entry would be. You can see where the support and resistance are without even drawing lines anymore. But that comes with practice. And I think that one of the big components from my side in terms of coaching is that I've always said that trading is for anybody, but it's not for everybody. But I'm going to add something to that before everybody stops trading, is that I personally believe that there are levels in life, and I'm on a journey. Currently, I put 100 Rand in on a cent account and I made 69 Rand this week so far. Lost money on Nasdaq, but I made money on gold, and I made $16 on Euro USD. And if my level is being able to achieve 2,000 Rand a month that pays for my water and electricity at home, then you know what? That's absolutely fantastic. I don't need to go chasing the social media concept of being able to buy a Ferrari tomorrow, build my mom and dad a house or whatever. There's other avenues of skills that I have that bring that into fruition. But being able to establish, where you at, etc., and being able to find that comfort zone. And I know life tells us, always get outside of your comfort zone. Maybe in trading you want to be in your comfort zone, and every now and then on a separate account, take a punt and see how it goes. But the biggest component to coaching, I believe at the moment with what we're doing with traders, is actually getting to understand what their dreams and goals are and how this can be a conduit, but also understanding that if you start off by just being able to pay your airtime for the month, great. Then you're able to pay your Wi-Fi bill for the month. Fantastic. If your ceiling is 3,000 Rand a month, learning to be content with that is more important to me than the social media blasting where we're trying to buy a house tomorrow.
Zero commission on stocks? Yeah, nothing. What if you could get this value today? Turns out you can. Join ATFX now and let's get you started.
Absolutely well said. I couldn't have said it better myself in that essence. And you touched on something very specific. You touched on social media trading. Now, you obviously deal with a lot of first-time traders and newbies. Do you think traders underestimate the emotional side of trading when they first start out? So when they get into trading that very first time, I've spoken to quite a few traders, and in that retrospect, it always comes through that, traders is just numbers and figures and there's zero emotion involved. And so as I was stating, when you speak to them, firstly, is there a misconception of how much emotions will affect their trades? And then secondly, how do you help reset, if I can put it in such a way, those expectations?
Fantastic. So great question. And I definitely see that. In actual fact, I'll tell you that the most successful traders I know have actually learned how to disassociate their emotions from their trading. It can sometimes be a long lesson. Look, equally and oppositely, there are guys that can trade extremely well under being emotional. So there's different facets to a trading journey, but the most successful guys I know have detached themselves from money and just seeing it as numbers on a screen. Having said that, from the social media impact, I think that I had it when I first placed my trade. I was checking my phone every hey, am I in a loss? And then you make 3 Rand and then you make 10 Rand and now you had $50 and then you had $300 and then it goes down back to 50. You're like, I should have closed my trade, but your take profits, in place. And then now you're minus $100 and you're beating yourself up because you could have had 300, but your trading strategy said you could have made 500. And then, we've also had chats about the fact that if your TP is let's say $1,000 and you're currently at 850, I'm happy with that money in the bank. If $850, close it, be content. And I think that the lifestyle that's portrayed on social media, I think grossly negates the importance. And remember, the first time doing something is extremely, extremely challenging. If you look at walking, if you look at us, learning how to run, playing sports, and wiring pathways within the brain is kind of like going through a jungle that, you take your machete and you start chopping down. And if you do it enough times, you're going to create a pathway with no obstructions, but it doesn't mean a jaguar is not going to walk past you. And how do you deal with that moment there? In terms of assisting the sales guys in their psyche, obviously the analysis videos and the content that's being created surrounding market briefs and insights and the Q&A sessions, I think is unprecedented, really good quality here in the South African markets. And that Q&A session, I think, played a significant role in traders being able to ask questions that they don't have platforms to go to actually ask and to get real answers. At the same time, one of the things I'm trying to implement is we often say try on a demo, and I'm super keen for new beginners to try on a demo. We've obviously got an in-house trainer who can assist you with the basics and the fundamentals of how does MetaTrader 5 work, how do you log in, what is a pip, etc. So you need the foundation in place. But I'm strongly leaning towards, and that's why I'm doing this 100 Rand sort of challenge, utilizing our cent option within the account to put 100 Rand. It cost me my margin was 4 Rand to place a trade on Euro USD. I was able to keep the trade open for 3 days with $100 and just build confidence in direction, build confidence in the trade, etc. And slowly but surely, moving from the demo into a very secure environment. I'm not saying that trading is not high risk. What I'm saying is if you apply the same strategy with 100 Rand on a cent, you're building confidence. And I think that that's quite a powerful tool if we can marry them together that can really assist traders in building the confidence for the next steps, as well as utilizing the 100 Rand to analyze why you got a trade wrong, because potentially it's not as significant as putting 1,000 Rand in once off.
So true. And a lot of times when that happens, and especially during market volatility as we are experiencing at the moment, and as you stated with the transition sometimes from demo to live, traders can start experiencing a certain amount of burnout. So as we close the specific session, what final words would you give a trader who may be feeling a little bit discouraged today due to burnout in current situations that we are experiencing?
So I actually have to think about that one. Something popped into my mind immediately, but I just want to make sure it's what I want to say. I think that, again, the underlining message in my statement today is that there's no challenges that you see in trading that we don't see in everyday life. We get burnout at work. We get burnout in our personal lives or friends, family, or whatever it might be, on the golf course or at the rugby club, or whether you play soccer on the weekend. And just maybe start unilaterally looking at areas and looking at trading as, another facet of life that is just engulfed in everyday circumstances that we find ourselves in. I've been discouraged many times. I used to be a sponsored athlete, and going to the gym used to irritate me. And I promise you, the Muhammad Ali quote saying, I hated training, but the thought of being a champion is what made me go, didn't even help me. So it's just really about being able to position it in your own mind and just readdress expectations. Seek help at ATFX if you're discouraged. And I think the key factor here in discouragement, etc., is finding the truth, because the truth is going to assist you in making better decisions. And all you need is a little bit of hope. That's all we're trying to do here at ATFX, is to spark hope that tomorrow could be a better day, that today could be a better trading day. And hope is what has the capabilities of moving mountains in people's lives.
Caleb, thank you so very much for these really powerful insights. It's very, very clear that, trading isn't just about charts and strategies and numbers. It is also about being emotionally strong. And with those words, traders, I want to leave you as we close off today's market brief, brought to you by ATFX Africa, the broker that gives you an edge in today's markets. Simply head over to ATFX Africa to experience the difference for yourself. And then traders, until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and trade smart.